we're talking about the first back-to-back weekly loss when it comes to oil prices here. What do you think has been behind that drop this week, and why has it been so dramatic?
Right, well, the drop this week, it's mainly down to Jerome Powell first talking about the possibility of a US recession, and then more recently saying, you know, his fight against inflation is unconditional. So that's really got people thinking interest rate hikes are going to be steep and we could get a possible recession in the US and the drop-off in demand. Prices are now down about 15% from a peak earlier in the month, and that's just been as the sort of the drumbeat of warnings about a recession grew louder. And it's not just the US. Citi and Deutsche Bank are both now saying the chances of a global recession are at around 50%. China remains a bit uncertain. Demand is coming back there, but the COVID zero policy means there's a sort of a constant risk of more lockdowns if cases tick up. And then on the supply side, we've got OPEC plus. Supply still looks pretty tight. We've got OPEC plus, which will soon come to the end of its sort of program of restoring oil supply after the virus.
Now, what is the consensus about oil prices and how they actually go in the next few months? We've got prompt spreads with Brent showing an expansion there. That's key.
Yeah, well, there is not much of a consensus really, Rish. We have Goldman, who are still pretty bullish. They were talking in a note this week about how the Fed can't print commodities. On the other hand, you have Citibank, which is pretty bearish. It's talking about oil potentially in the 80s in the fourth quarter and then even lower next year. If you look at the oil's market structure, it's kind of hard to see major drops. Brent's prompt spread is still firmly in backwardation. That means that near-dated prices are stronger than ones further out, and it's a bullish signal. And the backwardation has actually expanded even over the last couple of weeks as the recession warnings have grown. So, yes, structurally, it's kind of hard to see big drops from here, but, you know, it's going to depend, does the US go into a recession? Do other parts of the world go into a recession? And how severe that is.
Andrew, the big one this week when it comes to commodities was copper. Also, when it comes to iron ore, what are you going to be watching out for next week? Well,
for copper, it's mainly just similar to oil. It's just a recession story. We'll be watching for more signs of how sort of severe that slowdown is. Iron ore, very much an internal Chinese story. So just looking out for more announcements. I mean, we had Xi talking this week, suggesting they're going to really sort of ratchet up measures to try and boost growth there. So the market will be looking out for more announcements from China.